If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. What's going on, everybody? No, you're just in time, Pink Lady Luck. I haven't even done a show yet because the Blazers went into double overtime, but lost the game. What was kind of cool, though, is they played really... I mean, it was a weird game because we started off... I think we were down 13-1, and then we got down by 22 points. And then the Blazers just went on a furious run and cut it to 3 at halftime. Then they got up by 5 in the third quarter. Then near the end of the game, they got down by a little bit, but then Lillard sent us into overtime. And then in this overtime, we were down by 9 points, and Lillard made 3 3-pointers and put us into a second overtime. Then we had a 2-point lead in the second overtime, but we couldn't sustain it. But Lillard had 55 points, 10 rebounds. He's the only player in NBA history to do that. Plus, he had 12 3-pointers, and he's the only player in NBA history to do that in a playoff game. So you got to admit, like, that was pretty crazy, the stuff he was doing. And I think we're going to win the next game, and then it comes down to Game 7, and we beat him in Game 7 2 years ago there. So we'll see what happens. Crazy game, though. Crazy game. I'm not all bummed out or anything because they played hard, you know. Crazy. But when people go, hey, I'm glad Gray's enjoying, well, it's not really, it's weird. It's more like, stressful, I guess you might want to call it. But man, Lillard was incredible. But, Jokic, he's really an amazing player too. So he's really good. Probably, I would say one of the best players in the league, top 3 maybe. So now we're here, everybody. We're here. So here's the story that we were somebody in the chat talked about, Samuel Olson. This wasn't really what we were going to be talking about, but this is from a couple days ago. Well, now actually, no, it's from today. It says, no one seems to know where he is. Houston Police Department spokesman Larry Satterwhite told reporters. This is earlier in the day. And it says right here, Teresa Balboa, who is the girlfriend of Sam's father, said he last saw the boy on Thursday morning at her house, Southwest Houston home. And then she says, I was going to take Sam to school when his mother showed up with the police officer, or who I was under the impression to be a police officer, and they demanded me to release Sam. See, now I think this whole thing is bogus right here. Sam's grandmother, Tanya Olson, told reporters Monday. I mean, it seemed like a kind of a wild story anyways, but, stranger things have happened. So, now that he's been found dead in a hotel, it's hard to believe that the mother was ever there with a fake police officer, because if she did that, that means she was just trying to get him away, maybe have custody and run off somewhere. But now that he's found dead in a hotel room, I think it's something else was going on. Tequila search volunteers have been helping police and others look for the missing child who was 3 feet 9. Are you guys? He has blue eyes and light brown hair. I've worked many of these cases. This is Tim Miller again. I don't have a good feeling, Texas Echo Search founder Tim Miller told the station. Nobody can find out anybody that's credible that can tell us the last time he was seen and where. Miller said that. Let's see.
Good evening. My name is Larry Satterwhite. I'm the Executive Assistant Chief over Field and Support Operations. With me is Assistant Chief Heather Morris over Criminal Investigations Command. So why are we here? We are looking for Samuel Dalton Ronald Olson. He's a 6-year-old child, just turned, and we are looking everywhere we can to find him. I'll tell you what we know and that I can share. On Thursday, May 27th, in the evening time, around 6 p.m., we received a call in Southwest.
I want to see how this went.
About Samuel being taken by another individual. Officers went to that location, started taking information from the individuals there that made the call about Samuel being taken. From there, the reports went in to our missing persons unit, and we started looking for Samuel. We didn't know what we had. We didn't know if we had a child custody issue. We could still have that, or anything else more nefarious. We just don't know, or if we were even getting the accurate information. But this is how we conduct our investigations. We started talking to everybody that has any connection to little Samuel, in terms of where his caretakers, any relatives, and everyone else. And we're still doing that today. We have not located him yet. And no one seems to know where he is that we've talked to so far. Why are we here today? The apartment behind us is one of the last known locations that we are reported to have that little Samuel was at. So this is why we were here today and going in and looking for anything possible that might lead us to getting him back. I know that a lot of you saw that we had EquiSearch and officers in the field next behind us searching. It just goes to show you we are looking everywhere, anywhere possible where a 6-year-old child could be, or could have on his own, or by any potential other party that might have him. So we're at this point, we just do not have a lot of information, and we're asking you as the public to help us. If anybody knows where Samuel Olson is or has any
I just want to see how this all played out.
Please call
we can get
us.
A hint from
call our missing persons unit at 832-394-1840, or just call 911 and then say what you have.
This is a real B&H customer story.
Our goal is to get him back well and safe, and to get him back in the hands of people who love him and will take care of him.
Oh boy.
So with that, I'll stop there and I'll take any questions you have, but understand there's what I can say and what I can't say.
So the lady that's the fiance of the boy's father has gone missing, and she's the one that came up with that crazy story about the fake police officer. It seemed like a reasonable story, especially just after we heard Cairo tell us a story about how he's driving down the highway and a car tried to pull him over with the fake light.
The woman who apparently reported him being taken by someone on the 27th, is that woman now missing?
We are still looking. We have talked to all of those individuals, even as much as earlier today. So we're still asking questions of everybody that might have involvement here or might know something. And at this point, I don't know specifically where her whereabouts right now. I'm not willing to say she's missing. I'm just saying I don't know where she is at this moment.
Can you tell us who has custody of the boy?
So it's a little bit complicated, but the biological mother and the biological father have joint custody, and each has times with the child.
Oh, well, there you go. So that wouldn't be a reason to steal.
That's what we know by court records at this point, and I haven't been given any updates on that.
Have you talked to mom?
We've talked to all of the parties.
See, joint custody is one of those clues that you would go, oh, well, why would she do that then? You know? Like, if she didn't have any custody, you could see her coming up with a ruse to steal her kid. You know? But she had joint custody.
And unfortunately, no one knows where the child is right now.
Have you been able to figure out the last time someone actually saw him?
All we have are reports. The last time we know for a fact where he was.
And I'll tell you what, though. After that crazy Blazer game loss, I'm so proud that I don't feel really grumpy right now.
Was this school, and that was April the 30th. So we are working very hard because there's a lot of reports of where he was and why he was where he was. And we are trying to verify all of that information. And again,
You know, maybe the stepmom didn't want to have a kid in the marriage. You know, didn't like that fact. So got somebody to. I don't know. It's weird that the kid's it was found in a hotel room, though, right? Not in the middle of the woods somewhere.
this is a complicated case, but we're trying to move with as much urgency as we can to get him back safely. We just are still not where we need to be in terms of locating him.
Do you think the story of the mom, the fake cop, is that a credible story?
We're trying to verify that. This is a residence where little Samuel was kept with someone who was watching him at the time, according to the reports that we have. Again, we have not verified everything yet. Right now, all we have are reports of the people that are involved, and we're trying to verify the stories, whether or not they're true or untrue.
This is in
It's
Jasper,
taking some time.
Texas.
Did you just say that the last time you could verify that multiple people actually saw him was April 30th? Is that what you said?
That's
And
what I
his
said.
school?
Wow.
And
We know that the school
A
reported
month
it
ago.
that they had seen him on April 30th. And then since then, we are trying to
Oh,
figure
yeah. See, this is just like some of these other cases that we've talked about. I mean, there's been a bunch of these. So the kid was killed a month ago, probably. And so then they waited and waited, and they were like, oh, man, this is going to something's going to hit the fan. We need to just invent a story now. Make something up. A little bit like, Letitia Stout or something.
figure out all the whereabouts. Again, we have reports from family members that are saying where he was, and we're trying to verify those things. But people outside of those people closest to him, we have not talked to anybody that has seen him.
So is it possible he's been missing since April 30th?
It is possible.
What do you do from here? What's going to happen now?
Well, what
We
about
are
the
still talking
decomposition?
to everybody. We are going every.
I mean, it seems like the decomposition, they'd be able to immediately say, yeah, this definitely is consistent with being dead for a month.
everywhere possible. We are going to use everything available to us through the courts, through the legal system, for getting information as quickly as possible to verify whereabouts, and hopefully through all of those types of measures, we'll find something that will lead us to him and get him back.
Does this apartment belong to the father's girlfriend?
No, sir. The apartment belongs to another individual that the father's girlfriend knew.
Have you made contact with them?
We've made contact with them. Yes.
I say it's complicated. It's complicated because there's so many different stories that you're getting.
It's complicated for all of those things. Everybody's saying what happened, and again, we're just trying to verify and
So
piece it
nobody's
all
story
together.
matches.
Is the protective order still active?
What about the father?
I don't know that information.
God, he
right
knows
now.
something. He's been
The name
around.
of the school that he goes to?
I don't have that information. I mean, I could look it up, but that would take me a long time in this press conference. But yeah,
The fiance may have just bailed just to get the hell out of here because she knows what really happened. The father has to be involved somehow, right? He's been around for an entire month, and where's his kid?
we can find out. I'm not. I mean, if later on follow up with you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Who
Just-
exactly was watching some of this apartment?
Right now, the reports are that a friend of the biological father. So that's what we're working through right now. That's the reports. Okay. So again, we're trying to verify everything, and it's just going to take some time. But again, I will say again that if anybody knows anything about this or can shed some light on where little Samuel is, to please call us and let us know. We'd like to get him back.
The biological parents have any other children together?
I don't have any information on that.
And specifically here at this location, you have a search warrant. Can you tell us what you're searching for and how long you'll be in?
I don't even think he was
It's like
abducted.
anything else. We were hoping to find.
I think he was just killed. And then maybe at some point a hotel room was rented and they just put the body in there. I mean, who the hell knows? But how are they finding his body in a hotel room now? See, there's a lot of weird stuff here. I mean, a hotel room is going to be cleaned every single day, right? So how does his body show up in a hotel room a month later?
Samuel. But we're going to go. The warrants that we draw and everything that we do is basically we are doing everything we can legally to try to locate him and get him back. So there'll be more, and there'll be more locations checked, and we really won't stop until we find him.
This turned out to be not a.
It's almost like somebody rented a hotel room with cash, then put the body in there, and then left him in there. And then he was found in the hotel room. They're thinking, ooh, it'll look like a predator did it. Okay? But they'll be looking at it and going, well, the body's so decomposed, it couldn't have been here because a cleaning lady was in there the day before, and the day before, and the day before, and the day before. And maybe there's some cameras that saw who rented that room out.
I don't want to say get in, but
I still don't know. We still have investigators checking everything, so I don't know what will turn up from this. Hopefully something that'll lead us to him.
How does no one know where a 6-year-old is?
It's a good question.
Right.
I don't have an answer for you, but we're going to find out.
Chief, the friend is male or female?
Boy, I guess nobody...
The biological father is female.
Female?
Female.
Yeah, okay, let me move it to... I'm going to switch it over to... oh, that was from earlier. Hold on.
Limited. And then after this situation...
So it says authorities in Jasper, Texas were investigating Tuesday evening after the body of a young boy was discovered in a motel room. Thanks, Lee D. Man, I was getting really thirsty there. Losing energy quick. Preliminary findings indicate the body is likely that of Samuel Olson, a 6-year-old who was reported missing from Houston area late last week. Jasper Police Chief Gerald Hall and others believe the chief... that's what they believe. The boy's body was found inside a tote bag and appeared to have been there for some time. There you go. See? There you go. So it could have been maybe left in a closet or something. And the boy's body was found inside a tote bag and it appeared to have been there for some time. Let's see. The boy's body. From the Houston area. Texas authorities say boy found dead in motel room. Motels are different than hotels. You can stay in them longer. Preliminary findings indicate the body is likely that of Samuel Olson. Meanwhile, the fiance of the boy's father also has gone missing. Tanya Olson, the boy's grandmother, told the station that a woman named Teresa Balboa, the fiance of Samuel's father, seems to have disappeared. The boy's father, Dalton Olson, told Fox 26 that Teresa hasn't been seen since Monday when the couple headed out to post flyers about Samuel's disappearance. The grandmother claims she saw the boy early last month when he visited her house. May 2nd is the last time I physically had my hands on Sam. Okay, that's a little later than April 30th at school. She said Dalton Olson later came and picked up the boy, but she insisted the father had nothing to do with the boy's disappearance. Yeah, who knows? See, she might be covering up for him. Like, let's say he died accidentally at home, but it was some stupid negligence thing, and they didn't want to get in trouble for it. And then the grandmother says, oh, yeah, they were here, yeah. You know, trying to make him alive longer. Prior to news that a body was found in Jasper, an attorney representing the boy's mother, Sarah Olson, spoke to reporters. The mother also denied claims by the father and his fiancée that the mother and a man dressed as a police officer had picked up the boy. See, they were trying to pin it on her somehow. But what a stupid thing to try to pin. I mean, let's say you go like, oh yeah, she showed up with the police officer, but it wasn't real though. Well, it's so easy to disprove because there would be no evidence that it ever happened. Right? Like, there'd be nothing. Because it's not real. So, you know, to make it work, you should have had somebody dress up in a wig that looked sort of like the mom, and then a guy that kind of looked like a police officer. And yeah, it sort of sounds like they're saying that the body had been at least in the tote for a long time. But I bet you it was in the motel rooms. Aren't like hotel rooms. Sometimes they don't clean them every second, you know, like they. And let's say you put the duffel bag in a closet in the motel. You know, they're probably in there to change your sheets, maybe wash, you know, clean the bathroom. They're not really checking out your closet. So I can definitely see that lasting in there a long time. The State Department of Family and Protective Services would not confirm which parent had custody of the boy. Well, they both had joint custody. The attorney claimed there were too many holes in the story put forth by the boy's father. Right, okay, see, the boy's father and grandmother. Yeah, something happened to him way back around April 30th. And he's been dead this entire time. And it just became a story when they realized, well, we're going to have to explain something. I got an idea. Hey, let's blame it on the mother. Even though she probably has an ironclad alibi where she really was. And say that she came by with a fake police officer. So she abducted. So you need to be looking over there. You know, that's what it seemed. It seemed like a reasonable sort of story. But now it sounds ludicrous, doesn't it? Thank you, Pink Lady Luck. Prayers and hope for all missing abducted children. Yep. There's so many of them. It's weird how some become popular and some aren't. The cases. This one wasn't really that popular. It's just sort of something that popped up. We discussed it yesterday. And then today, I mean, what a bunch of craziness. See, sometimes crazy stuff really does happen. All right? What do you guys think? Oh, that would have been, that donation would have made this sound. Hold on. Chewbacca?
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Yeah, it's weird how some news channels, they're looking for something that sells ads and people watch, you know. So you sort of wonder, like, what makes it that way? A lot of times video makes a case that way. Like if you've got the case of Cash Gurnan, you know, there's a video and there's all this other stuff, so it makes it a case where it's more interesting for viewers apparently. I don't know why, you know. Oh well, here's a great example: the Delphi case, right? Compare that to Lyric and Elizabeth Cook, or Lyric and Elizabeth, right? They're two girls, and I think it's in Iowa, if I remember right. Yeah, they were both abducted. Same everything. Their bodies were found months later, though. But there's no video or anything like that. But it's the same type of case. It probably even has, it would have the same exact intrigue if there was video. Because think of the Delphi case without any of the video or images that Libby took on that phone. The audio and the video of the killer, there would be absolutely nothing other than here's where they were found and that's it. Nothing. And the case probably would have died down quite a bit in the media. So it's very fortunate. That's what makes what Libby did such a big deal, because it's still out there, and that'll help it get solved at some point. I don't know. Cairo never said if anything came of it. Are you out there, Cairo? Anything come of your your call to the police, or was it just old hat? Oh, yeah, we get that guy all the time. That's Jim. Well, it didn't play automatically, Pink Lady Luck. It played because I pressed the button. But you would think it was funny if you knew what the origins of it was. Okay? So what it was Cairo was on one of his many trips. I don't even know what state. Don't even care, really. But he was at a hotel room, and he was just going to go outside and smoke a cigarette, I guess. And then he opened up the door to go outside, and the second the door opened, the lady made that sound. And then he immediately recognized it as Chewbacca. So he said, Chewbacca? And then she said, hey, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to be. You know, being a sex worker. So it was actually kind of funny. But, you had to be there, I guess. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to switch it over now to this longer, it's our old school newspapers.com case. Right, so listen to it now. Hey, let me play it one more time. Okay, now listen to it and picture a guy walking out of a door to smoke a cigarette and a lady on the ground immediately making that sound. And then he says, Chewbacca? And then she said, here, just listen, here we go.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
See, come on, that's classic right there. It's an all-time classic. Okay. All right, so I'm going to switch it over to the other case. I haven't mapped anything out on it yet or anything. But this is, believe it or not, here we go, old school. This is 1974, Ellabeth Lordermeier. Ellabeth Lordermeier. Okay? This one might have some similarities to a lot of different cases out there. Kind of curious to see what we're all thinking at the end. I haven't read any, I don't know all the facts of it or anything like that. I just put all of it together because I like to be, have it be entertaining for me at the same time, figuring stuff out, right? So now we're going all the way back in time. This is newspaper clippings from 1974. She went missing on March 6th, so there might have been another article, I just couldn't find one. Now, let me try one thing real quick. Oops. How's everybody doing tonight? I know I got kind of late. Blazers went into double overtime and lost, but they played hard. I don't have any, and I don't think there was any. It was just people missed shots when they could have made shots. Like Powell was terrible tonight. All right, so this is Ellabeth. I'm just going to see if there's any more in. And this took place in South Dakota, not a place that we normally hear cases about, right? Now my stomach just made a big loud noise. It's weird. Doesn't say anything. Let me get rid of that. Never mind. I'll just get going here. So women 25 still missing. She went missing 8 days before this. Sioux Falls police are continuing their investigation into the disappearance of Mrs. Jean V. Lodermeier, 25, of 305 North Indiana Avenue. So we can put that in there. In South Dakota. So this is in Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls. Hey, Og Bosgal. Okay, and then we've got 305 North Indiana Avenue. Come on. Now, Google Earth doesn't work the same way. It used to quickly update. So right there is where she lived. Man, a lot of... Seems like a lot of my RAM is being used for something. And there we go. Let's take a look at that. That looks like that's probably the same house that was there. That looks pretty old. 305 it looks like. Yep. So there's the house. Officers want to hear from any citizens that might have knowledge of the woman's whereabouts or information concerning her disappearance. Mrs. Lodermeier was last seen at her home during the early evening hours of March 6th. Police said there is a possibility that foul play is involved. People living in rural areas are being asked to check abandoned farm buildings and secluded spots. When last seen, Miss Lodermeier was believed to have been wearing blue jeans and lightweight blue coat. She is described as being 5'1", weighing 105 pounds, having long brown hair, usually worn in bangs, and having green eyes and a slender build. Alright, so that was on March 14th, then April 5th. A lot of times there isn't a lot of coverage on adult missing people, but they obviously kept putting information out. Yeah, she's very tiny, 5'1", 105 pounds. A reward fund has been established for information leading to the whereabouts of Ellabeth Lordermeier of Sioux Falls. Miss Lodermeier, 25, had been missing since the evening of March 6th. She is 5'1", 105 pounds, with green eyes and long brown hair. Her bangs are cut in an arc form over her eyes. Miss Lodermeier is an employee of the Community Service Department. Anyone having information leading to the location of Mrs. Lodermeier is asked to call Ray Reiners of the Community Service Office. The reward fund has now grown to $1,200. Okay, so that was April 5th. And let's see. Now this is it's a letter to the editor on April 24th, so maybe 3 weeks later. Nearly 50 days have passed, and no clue have been uncovered regarding the disappearance of our daughter, Ellabeth Keller Lordermeier. She's 25 years old. From her home at 305 North Indiana Avenue. Let's see, that was on March 6, 1974. Foul play is suspected. It does not appear unreasonable to assume that a coordinated effort on the part of state, county, and city law enforcement agencies would produce clues leading to the whereabouts of our daughter. In the interest of finding our daughter and keeping Sioux Falls a safe place in which to live, it is imperative this case be solved We therefore beg the aid of Sioux Falls residents to register their interest and concern with the proper officials and urge expanded and intensified efforts to find our daughter. We shall be eternally grateful to the communications media and residents of Sioux Falls for their help to find Ellabeth. And I think that's the parents. Then about 5 weeks later, man, I'm gonna have to go put myself in jail or go to a beach at some point here. Sioux Falls man suffers from gunshot wound. See, this is kind of weird stuff, you know, like all of a sudden now there's a story. Authorities report that husband of missing Sioux Falls woman suffered a gunshot wound early today during a scuffle in the yard of his home. Eugene Lodermeier, 25, told authorities he was followed by a man in a car while on his way home from the downtown area. He said he was accosted at his home by a young man who thrust the barrel of a handgun into his stomach. In the ensuing struggle, Lodermeier said the weapon discharged, striking him in the left hand. The assailant fled. Lodermeier was treated at a Sioux Falls hospital and released. Authorities are still investigating the March disappearance of Lodermeier's wife, Ellabeth, 25. That's a little bit strange, right? Like, what are the odds of something like that? Okay, now this is October 1974. Lodermeier case has new angle. A new development in the unsolved disappearance of a Sioux Falls woman has emerged with the discovery of 3 credit cards belonging to her. Police said Thursday the cards owned by Miss Ellabeth Lordermeier, 25, of 305 North Indiana Avenue were found in a railway station at Dauphin, Manitoba, Canada. Thanks, Super Soda. You didn't used to have 90 on the end, did you? Like originally? Wasn't it just Super Soda?
Order a Mai Tai while on your vacation. Kissing face. Tropical drink.
Yeah, I'll probably to go on vacation at 10 here. I actually I don't even want to have a drink right now. But after that Blazer game, boy, I tell you what. Miss Lodermeier's wife, Jean Lodermeier, was last seen at her home during the early evening hours of March 6, 1974. What's the new angle, though? Oh, yeah, the credit cards. Yeah, the 3 credit cards found up in Canada. So, let's see where Manitoba is. You've always had the 90? Huh. Okay. So it's kind of a straight shot up into there. Interesting. Actually, it was in, what was the town? Were found in a railway station at Dauphin. So we need to put that in there. I bet it's closer. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. How about railway station? Okay, it could be any of these. We'll just put a pin or 3 credit cards found. Alright. So it's about 500, over 500 miles away, maybe 600 driving. Hello, love and living. Okay, then there was like nothing in the paper, at least in on newspapers.com. I couldn't find anywhere else. And then in 1978, you know, some interesting stuff starts coming out. Let's see. City of Sioux Falls, a municipal corporation under the law, blah, 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 blah. You are hereby notified that a petition in the above entitled proceedings duly signed and certified was filed in the office of the clerk of the circuit court in the city of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County. But the above entitled proceeding is a condemnation action brought by the above named plaintiff. See, it's right here. It's Gene, that's the husband, Gene V. Lodermeier, and then Ellabeth Lordermeier. You are hereby further notified that if you do not appear in the proceedings within 30 days after the date of the service of this summons upon you exclusive, the date of service plaintiff will apply to the court for an order to impanel a jury. Let's see what this is. It is hereby given notice that in the event she does not... So this is Ellabeth Lordermeier is hereby given notice that in the event she does not appear within 30 days following the first publication of this summons, the plaintiff will make application to the county second circuit state of God, it's so small, of South Dakota for an order to impanel a jury and ascertain the just compensation for the property to be taken. So it sounds like a foreclosure kind of deal, you know, but she's still being listed because, you know, I guess technically she could still be out on the run somewhere. Okay, and then 1980 came around. And see, then there's all this weird stuff going on with the husband. Right? So the Sioux Falls police officers who a local businessman says harassed him in connection with his wife's unexplained disappearance in 1974 testified Tuesday in U.S. District Court that they were only doing their job in investigating the case. The man, Gene Lodermeier, 33, seeks $100,000 in damages. See, this guy seems like somebody who's always trying to game the system and get compensation. And so I'm kind of wondering if there was a life insurance policy, although wouldn't he have wanted her to be found because she's still running around? I don't know. It's just strange. The man, Gene Lodermeier, 33, seeks $100,000 in damages, charges that officers violated his constitutional rights and caused his mental distress by pursuing him as a suspect in the disappearance of his wife, Ellabeth. Officers Don Scatson, John Johnson, a list of officers. In opening remarks Tuesday, Lodermeier's lawyer, John Gridley III, told the jury he will prove that the investigation of Mrs. Lodermeier's disappearance went beyond the normal investigative routine and that police began to harass Lodermeier by following him, putting his house under surveillance, and asking questions of him that he had already answered. The defense of but wouldn't the answer be the same every time? Why would he care if he had to answer it 50,000 times in a row? In defense of the officer, lawyer Gary P. Timpson said he will show Lodermeier's charges are unfounded and resulted from an investigation by professional law enforcement officials or officers. Lodermeier's wife filed for divorce. See, this is now we're getting, now we're doing Cheryl Coker at this point. Lodermeier's wife filed for divorce in 1973. And then listen to this. About 3 weeks before the divorce was to have gone to trial, she disappeared. Oh, boy. Boom. Yeah. The last person to see her was Lodermeier. Mrs. Lodermeier still is missing. Each of the 6 officers named as defendants testified that there was no design to harass Lodermeier by keeping him under surveillance after he was questioned about his wife's disappearance. For the first few weeks of the investigation, Lubick told the court that he had daily contact with Lodermeier at his home, at work, or his parents' home. We had many different leads we were checking out. Gridley asked if there was a plan to follow Lodermeier. Absolutely not, he said. Now, Lodermeier testified that Scatson told him Gene will, Gene, we can't let a murder die. This will haunt you until it's solved. So they're making it, making him believe that they thought it was him. I think it's a pretty good odds that it's him, right? Like it's you're in the middle of a divorce and just before trial, oh my God, you disappear. Yeah. But anyways, I haven't been able to, I gotta go use the restroom now. And I'm gonna put myself on the beach because I was supposed to come on at what time? 8:45, but I wasn't even able to take a break. I came right on. So hold on a second. Also, I'm going to be making myself a drink. now I'm back on the beach. What, no drinks? My God, you got. This might be a short night tonight. Hey, thanks, Jen H. and Lee D. Oh, man. It's brutal out there. Hula lessons? Tiny bubbles in the wine. Hey, we can be like Lori and Chad Daybell, right? You know how they... remember that when he was on the beach going like this? That scene with Lori and Chad makes me angry looking at that. How the joy that they had looking at each other. Oh, come on. Ah, sick. Yeah, I always get suspicious when you have something like you've got a case where, you know, there's a divorce and then somebody goes missing. Anyways, right, you can't see it, but on they're cleared of harassment. There was no harassment. Apparently. Huh? Someone run. Gray. His son. Block. Someone run. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I definitely would get sunburned right now. I haven't been outside in the sun as much as I'd like. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I hate those pictures. They're just, you know, holding each other's hands. Ah, God. Why would they even take those pictures? I mean, it was all just ridiculous. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys. Let's see, where are we at? Yeah, so the police were cleared. And now we're moving another 8 years forward. Yeah, it's still unsolved. Still unsolved. And look at, now we've got another article, kind of what we were just saying a minute ago. Authorities say Gene V. Lodermeier doesn't forget. Lodermeier, a 41-year-old owner of rental property in Sioux Falls, has sat in the Minnehaha County Jail for the past 19 days. He was given a $1 million cash bond. Now he's being held without bond pending an October trial. Well, this is kind of weird. Lodermeier is suspected of trying to hire a hitman to kill a city police officer. Court hearings have revealed. Wow. So if he did that, maybe he had his wife killed. The officer, Detective Russ Prince, has investigated at least 2 crimes involving Lodermeier in the past decade. No charges have been filed on the hitman allegations. It is not the first time Lodermeier's been suspected of committing serious felonies. Police have questioned Lodermeier in the 1974 disappearance of his wife, Ellabeth, and the 1977 bombing of a police car. What? That's crazy. So that was 3 years later. Didn't see that one. He wasn't charged in either instance. Both cases remain unsolved. Authorities believe Lodermeier holds grudges. For example, he lost a 1980 lawsuit against 6 police officers he claimed trampled his rights while investigating his wife's disappearance. In 1975, he was convicted of shoplifting at Lewis Drug Here. A year later, he was on the window-breaking rampage of the local chain store city locations. What does that mean? He went on a window-breaking rampage at the local chain store's city locations. Oh, I see. So he was convicted of shoplifting at Lewis Drug And then he started breaking all the windows at Lewis Drug. Because, it's never his fault. He's like Jody Arias, right? So it's always somebody else's fault for what you do. The police officer who caught Lodermeier breaking the windows, Al Fields, had a homemade pipe bomb explode inside his car a year later. Oh, wow. The police officer who caught Lodermeier breaking the windows. Oh, my God. Oh, jeez. So okay, look. So in 1975, he's convicted of shoplifting at Lewis Drugs. And then he goes around and he breaks the windows of the drugstore. And then the police officer who caught him breaking the windows, Al Fields, had a homemade pipe bomb explode inside his car a year later. Boy, what bad luck. Now Lodermeier is awaiting trial on 4 grand theft charges that say he stole heavy machinery. Prosecutors are slowly unraveling a plot in which they say Lodermeier planned to pay a professional hitman $6,000 to kill someone, most likely Prince. And Prince was, let's see, caught Lodermeier. Who's Prince? I forgot who Prince was. Is that the officer that arrested him? Oh, okay. I think that's who that is. Lodermeier's lawyer, John Schlemil Schlemazel, right, says Lodermeier intended to hire an investigator for the grand theft cases. But Circuit Judge Robert Emonson, who initially set bond at $1 million cash, said Lodermeier may pose a danger to other persons, including detectives. Well, that sounds like a possibility, right? Each detective was involved in one of the grand theft cases pending. Prince testified in a 1977 civil suit in which Lewis Drug sought $70,000 in damages from Lodermeier for the broken windows. The case was settled with Lodermeier paying $1,834. The state key witness, Richard Eugene Cummings of Sioux City, Iowa, testified last week in a bond hearing that he met with Lodermeier several times. First, Cummings said Lodermeier was looking to buy perjured testimony for his upcoming grand jury trial. Later, talk turned to hiring a hitman. Lodermeier talked about high explosives and having someone disappear. Cummings said the name Prince was mentioned. Last week, Circuit Judge Artie Hurd ordered Lodermeier be held without bond. Some say it fits Lodermeier's pattern. If you see anybody who's gone crosswise with him, they've always had some consequences. Actually, there's more to this one. There's like tons. But this one's a long article here. Look at this thing. I mean, it's like... See, I think this is interesting to read because it gives you almost like victimology. Or, whatever. Like, it's not even victimology. It's more like the suspectology. I mean, literally like a profile. Like, look at this guy here. It's crazy, right? Yeah, so there's always consequences. Since 1968, Lodermeier's been fighting the system. See? He's been accused many times, but seldom convicted. He was sentenced to federal prison in 1985. Well, what year is this, though? Oh, this is 1988. Okay, I was like, whoa. For the interstate transport of stolen property involving a J.I. Case Company backhoe. Other convictions have been for lesser offenses, including the 1975 shoplifting incident. His wife, Ellabeth, a 25-year-old Aberdeen native, disappeared from the couple's home March 7, 1974. In late 1973, it was later discovered Ellabeth Lordermeier had started divorce proceedings against her husband, who she said beat her. Oh, well, there you go. That's not good. The case grew more strange 3 months after his wife's disappearance. I mean, look at that. 5'1", 103 pounds, and he's beating her. Lodermeier was treated for a gunshot wound in his left hand. He told police an armed man followed him home and attacked him. The man put the barrel of his handgun to Lodermeier's stomach. The two scuffled, and the weapon fired, striking Lodermeier in the hand. Wow, what a miracle, man. It would have shot me in the stomach, but... Ellabeth's disappearance remains an unsolved homicide, police say. Lodermeier, upset by police interrogations, started a lawsuit in U.S. District Court. He sought $100,000, claiming officers routinely drove past his property at 305 North Indiana Avenue. Lodermeier accused police of spreading rumors that he had killed his wife. Witnesses said Lodermeier had suffered emotional distress and medical problems because of police efforts. But a 7-member jury absolved the 6 officers. I'm shocked, Lodermeier said at the time. A lot of people in the city that know better will be too. Yeah, right. You're probably going to track down all the jury members and put pipe bombs with them. Somewhere, right? This guy's he's a psycho. Is this? I think this is boring to you guys, right? Because look at, I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, and I always notice maybe I should just start doing trials every night. Because last month was probably one of our best months we've ever had here for charity and so forth. But on shows like this, it just always it's like I almost want to play this one right here. Watch the where is it? This sound effect right here. That's what it feels like. Yeah. But the thing is, I like covering cases. Unfortunately, no, it gets kind of wild. Yeah, you like these? Okay. Yeah, I think it's always kind of fun to go back in time and read through these things because they're, this one I've never heard of, and you can't really find any. There's nothing on YouTube about it or anything like that. Now, not that I could find. Maybe some obscure channel somewhere. But at the same time, it's weird, It's like when I do shows when there's a trial and everybody's excited, I'm just telling you how it works. The super chats and everything, everybody's like, yeah. And then we have a good month. But when I have shows like this show right here is, starting off as one of the worst shows we had all year. Although I did have the one earlier. But I'm just saying, that's what we do now, right, you guys? It is, and this one is very interesting. Well, it is interesting. This guy's a kind of a crazy person. He seems like he's always looking for an angle, much like a YouTuber out there. There's this YouTuber out there, this old Clint Eastwood looking detective type, who put out a video today, and everybody's so amazed by it. Because you know what he said to everybody? He told everybody, hey, in this video, this Clint Eastwood guy, I don't have anything against him. He is one of the guys that kind of just covers all the big cases, though. But on the Delphi case, he's telling everybody that doing side-by-sides isn't good, and putting out initials of people isn't good. And the funny thing is I've been saying that same thing every single day. And then this one grifter YouTuber is put out a video with his face on the emoji, this other YouTuber, this old guy, like Clint Eastwood guy. And he's one of the people that did that the whole time. Yeah, listen. Anthony Greeno is a grifter. He's putting out false information. He is done exactly what I'm telling you that this guy claimed. He's done the side-by-sides on his show. Put a 1 if you've seen side-by-sides of people on his show. Okay? Every single thing that that person put out, he's done. And he still continues to do. And now he's trying to claim, oh, good call, man. It's ridiculous, everybody. And it's embarrassing that people still keep giving the benefit of the doubt. There's a huge grift is going to go on right now. And hopefully everybody wakes up after this. It's going to happen. Trust me. Yeah. Hey, everybody, if you could send in $100 or more to sponsor this, and what I'll do is this and that and the other. No, you won't. Yeah, there's nothing going to happen. Yeah, that's incredible, all the suckers that are over there. And I'm speaking out loud because I'm telling you the truth here. Look the guy up on Google, and you'll see all you need to see. It's real. He always says, "Oh, I have lawsuits against those people." Right. If you did, that article would have been gone a long time ago. It's still sitting there. It's true. That's why. And there's even it's incredible, everybody. And people go, "Oh, you're just jealous." No, what it is, what I am is I'm angry. I'm angry that there's somebody that's allowed to do what he's doing, and people accept it. Like lemmings. Well, lemmings never really jumped off a cliff like that, but they sort of forced him off the cliff in a movie, and said, "Look at like lemmings, they just run off a cliff." Yeah, here's the deal, everybody. True crime is a real thing. It's like actually important to try to go over all the facts and put it all together, and reasonably speculate and try to keep everything tight. It's not something for wild speculation. People go, "Oh, well, there's just different types of channels." Well, the thing is, there shouldn't be. It should be, well, everybody has their own style and everything. But there needs to be some kind of almost like regulation in the community where you can't do that. Fortunately, it doesn't exist. So everybody out there, if you're watching over there and you think it's great shit, you should be ashamed of yourself. It's absolutely go look them up on Google first. And if you don't see what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, well, that's on you. Okay, you're going to be one of those people that was fooled 3 times, not just once. All right, anyways, let's see. This might be like a shorter show, maybe to like 11. But a 7-member jury absolved the 6 officers. In 1968, Lodermeier was arrested, so this is even before her disappearance, by Brown County authorities for burglary. Police caught him after a high-speed chase that ended with officers shooting out the back tires of his car. He was sentenced in June 1971 for burglary. Police caught him after a high-speed chase that ended with He was sentenced in June 1971 to 1 year in prison. The sentence was appealed in June 1980, 12 years after he was arrested. The state Supreme Court overturned his sentence. Let's see. He was sentenced in June 1970 to 1 year in prison. June 1980, and it was overturned. Man, this guy's just always doing something. It's really weird. In June 1980, 12 years after he was arrested, the state Supreme Court overturned his sentence. So, way later, Lodermeier, a regular in the court system, had won a battle. He finally won something. He amassed large holdings of real estate in the early 70s, buying chunks of property when interest was low and homes cheap. Well, the 70s interest was like 12%. 17 on homes. Maybe 76. Well, when Carter was president. In 1986, he owned 21 houses. Wow. 19 of them in Sioux Falls. The houses, mostly low-end rental units in the north-central part of the city, provided him a monthly income of nearly $7,000. Oh, really? Well, who would have got half of that? Huh. And that's $7,000 in 1970 is like $25,000 right now. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of money. You could buy, homes were 25, But the rentals often landed him in small claims court at least 33 times in the past decade. Lodermeier and his company, Continental Enterprises, have been brought to small claims 11 times since 1978. He lost 8 and won 2. One was dismissed. He won counterclaims in 2 of the losses. Since 1981, Lodermeier initiated 22 small claims actions. He's won 20. 2 were dismissed. Claims filed against him were commonly for damaged deposits that weren't returned or portions of rent that were withheld. Lodermeier brought claims for unpaid rent, damages to property, and utility bills left unpaid. Judgments in his favor range from $50 to $1,961. That's a pretty big one, the 1900 one. 2 years ago, his business dealings drove him to bankruptcy. Documents showed Lodermeier with $286,398 in secured debts in 1986. He had another $33,451 in unsecured debt, a string of legal fees, advertising charges, credit card bills, and personal loans. There were 11 houses listed. Among his debts, he owed 99 back payments totaling $24,170. 3 houses with home, federal savings, and loan listed as creditors accounted for 49 of the delinquent payments. He owned nearly $11,000 in taxes, $2,319 to the IRS for 1983 and 1984 taxes, $2,839 to the Minnehaha County Treasurer for 1984 and 85 real estate taxes, $5,721 to the Brookings County Treasurer. Also listed were two businesses separate from his rental operations: Sunset Supply and Electrical Business, and the club and ill-fated health club in Brookings. Bankruptcy proceedings started in early 1986. An initial debt repayment schedule called for Lodermeier to pay a bankruptcy trustee $1,000 a month for 36 months. Wow, that's a lot of money. And a balloon payment of $5,000 the last month. After 12 payments, the schedule was amended to $1,450 a month for 4 years and a $5,000 balloon payment. Today, only 2 years after going through Chapter 13 bankruptcy, Lodermeier owns 15 houses and another piece of bare land in Sioux Falls. Real estate taxes are current on all but 4 county treasurer records show. He's delinquent to, this guy's, he owes $12,929 to Minnehaha County. So he knows how to acquire properties, for sure. Yeah. Alright, then 1989. Got another article coming up here. So that's him right there. Convicted felon Gene Lodermeier was sentenced Friday to 45 years in prison. See, that does seem like there's something a little weird here with these, 45 years in prison. And authorities will continue to investigate allegations that he talked of having 3 witnesses and circuit court judge killed. Hey, thank you, Kit Kat. Appreciate it. Was dying over here. Lodermeier, 41, now he lives somewhere else, at 2126 South Duluth Avenue, was convicted October 26 on 6 felony counts. Circuit Judge Artie Hurd sentenced him to 3 15-year terms on grand theft convictions. The terms will be served consecutively. Now that's a little unusual there. You got to admit, like 45 years for grand theft. That's 3 other 3-year sentences will be served concurrently. So that's like 48 years, right? But prosecutor Jim Isley said investigation into Lodermeier's involvement in a possible conspiracy to kill 2 city police detectives and another potential witness and Hurd will continue. Authorities arrested Lodermeier last July on allegations that he tried to hire a hitman to kill detectives. A third potential witness in the trial, Dean Johnson, a former employee of Lodermeier rental property business and Prince's nephew, also was a possible target of a hitman. Lodermeier has never been charged in connection with those allegations. Lodermeier also was involved in a brief conversation with a female friend who talked of wanting to have this court killed, Hurd said. Those talks likely resulted because the woman was upset with a previous child custody settlement. Before sentencing, ISD chronicled past event in which Lodermeier was a suspect, including the 1974 disappearance of Lodermeier's wife, Ellabeth. She has never been found. Lodermeier was considered a suspect in the case, but was never charged. See, he seems like he's really clever. Like he is the Cobra, Pitbull versus Cobra husband. Like he is the one that was plotting and planning. When he does do his strike, it's going to be lethal, and it's well planned out. Nobody's going to have a clue. This guy, he's obviously pretty smart. Given all the different lawsuits that he's in, he's won a lot of them. The attempted bombing of a police officer's car in 1977, the officer Al Fields had caught Lodermeier after an extended window-breaking spree. Defense lawyer John Schmilgen said Lodermeier should be sentenced only for crimes of which he was convicted. Right. See, I think that's exactly what I think. I think the 45-year sentence was based on the things they weren't able to charge on it. Don't you guys? I mean, he sounds like he probably did kill his wife, but the sentence of 45 years seems like they're almost sentencing him on that, right? It's not like it's just, I don't know. You would never get 45 years for those charges. Like, I'm not trying to feel sorry for the guy, but that sentence seems way too much for what he got. So I think that what they're doing is saying, well, we know you killed your wife, and we also know you plotted to kill these other people, so we're going to make it 45 years. I'm almost okay with it. That's the thing. All right, then in 2001, this Gene Lodermeier, he actually did a full page. I don't even know if I'm going to try to read this thing, but Justice for Gene Lodermeier. But he's the one that put this ad in the paper. Look. Sincerely, Gene Lodermeier. Thank you, Carolina girl. Okay. Maybe I'll try to read it quick. I am challenging you to confirm a fact that it is utmost importance of citizens of South Dakota. But first let me explain why your personal involvement is needed. The substantial evidence you have received that reveals Ellabeth Lordermeier's disappearance was directly connected to a police officer. Now, look at, he's trying to pin the disappearance of his wife on a police officer. The substantial evidence you have received that reveals Ellabeth Lordermeier's disappearance was directly connected to a police officer she worked with, and the fraudulent investigation that followed should no longer be kept secret. That a retired Sioux Falls detective supplemented that evidence, named persons involved, offered to supervise excavation by the police clubhouse where her purse was found, and pay expenses if her remains are not recovered, should also be made public. As her husband, I was naturally questioned in the case. The lack of evidence and my strong criticism of the incompetent investigation so frustrated law enforcement that they became obsessed with locking me up for any crime they could make stick. In fact, substantial evidence attests that Ellabeth's disappearance is the real reason I was fraudulently convicted in 1988 of possession of stolen property and given a ludicrous, well, I said the same thing, 45-year sentence, which I am still serving. The property involved was stored by the rental property business after being abandoned in a building I own. And although I was not present, my family and employees stored the property according to South Dakota law and notified the previous tenant of that fact. Employee Dean E. Johnson took the property and used it. When I fired him for theft of numerous items and tampering with tenant property, he publicly announced that he would help his uncle, Detective Russell Prince, put me in prison. Judge R.D. Hurd did not allow the jury to hear this critical evidence. I mean, that is pretty interesting. Thanks, Zozo. Citizens have contacted you wondering why, why with substantial concealment of evidence and other corruption in my case, I have not been given a new trial. But the citizens also deserve to be informed that 1. Judge Gene Keene refused to remove himself from the case knowing his personal association with Elizabeth and his misuse of the grand jury as a prosecutor created judicial
Missed the start
conflict
and can't catch
and
up
bias.
sneaking into Ocean Wave.
Thanks, Ocean Wave. And Lee D. It's an Australian wave. I can see it. This is pretty crazy. This is kind of weird, actually. Yeah, I'm just going to go down to this last part where he says, all I'm asking for is a new trial and a fair trial to get to the truth. But as you see, the facts show that the appointed judges are so afraid of the truth that they openly obstruct justice to keep it hidden. Shouldn't tourists, visitors, and others be warned they have no rights to justice and a fair trial in South Dakota before they cross the border? Any of these matters, and especially the obstruction of justice shown, should be a serious concern to you, being it is your duty to see that the law is faithfully and impartially executed. Clearly, this obligation is not being fulfilled, and police are committing perjury and other serious crimes because nobody is stopping them from continuing. Man, my mouth is so dry right now. I get it. Huh, this is pretty bizarre. I mean, he writes this huge letter with like point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at all these different points here. I didn't want to read through all these. It's too many. Yes, hit that like button, everybody. Thank you. Pink Lady Luck. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's crazy. It's like a grifter whose wife went missing right before. See, here's the thing. He seems like he had all of the motivation. He was making $7,000 a month, and he didn't want his wife to get half, so she conveniently disappears just before they were supposed to show up at the court. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, I think there's something going on here. All right, and then 2002, I don't know, a year and 5 months later, he's paroled. So he did serve a while in there. 2 high-profile South Dakota State Penitentiary inmates are being given their release by the State Board of Pardons and Parole. Eric Castanera, this guy over here, let's see, and Gene Lodermeier, convicted of grand theft and a suspect in the disappearance of his wife, learned earlier this week they were being paroled. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm going to go to the second page. Yeah, so in 1989, he was sentenced to 45 years in prison. But literally just 13 years later, he's out. Okay, then in 2006... I mean, it's weird because a lot of it starts becoming about him. But I think it's important because I think it sort of discusses how he is possibly related to the disappearance of his wife. I'm trying to load this page up over here. It's really slow. Yeah. But the problem is he probably shouldn't have got 45 years. I think it should have been, concurrent for those charges. So in reality, even though it's like, God, we know he did those other things, he should have only got like 15 years. But the judge wanted to keep him behind bars forever. Yeah, he probably was. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it's not loading this page that I have here. Argus? Huh. Try it one more time. Come on. There we go. So look at this crazy... This whole thing came out. #1 corrupt case in South Dakota courts revealed. And it was his cases. So he gets this ridiculous, Sioux Falls, 2006. This corrupt court case and others like it show judges are not held accountable for constitutional violations. And they go through the whole thing on all of his charges. And it's paid for by South Dakota Judicial Accountability Committee. So it wasn't him who paid for it. So it's sort of interesting that this whole article is just bashing how he was tried and convicted. Except we already have all the other evidence of all the other years of litigations and various attempts that he, so they're just referring to the grand theft charges. So it's kind of weird, right? I mean, let's read just the counts here. Judge Hurd presided over the case without jurisdiction or authority. Numerous court documents confirm the case was assigned to Judge Hedge and never transferred to Hurd. This is a violation of South Dakota law. Well, that does seem kind of weird. Hurd did this for vindictive reasons, being the detectives and prosecutors told Hurd that Gene had hired a hitman to kill him for his prejudicial pretrial rulings in the case. The hitman story was another confirmed lie invented by police to get Gene's bond revoked and held in jail so he could not continue to secure evidence to show the detectives and prosecutors were framing him. Upon review of this issue, the South Dakota Supreme Court ignored the violation of South Dakota law and made up fraudulent excuses to uphold this corrupt and illegal conduct by Judge Hurd, as well as his lack of jurisdiction over the case. And the second one is Judge Hurd failed to remove himself from the case, which he had no legal right to preside over anyway, for bias, being he had been lied to that Gene had hired a hitman to kill him, and any sensible person knows that a judge who has been told that a defendant wants him killed, even if it's a lie, is required to remove himself from a case to avoid the appearance of bias. 3. Judge Hurd denied Gene the right to present witnesses' testimony revealing that the property had been legally stored as abandoned property and that an individual had called asking where the property was and claiming he owned the property. Judge Hurd ruled this evidence was irrelevant. Judge Hurd coached the prosecutor to keep the above evidence from the number 3 above, I guess, from the jury by asking him to, do you want to re-urge on the basis of irrelevance? Prosecutor Lossley then objected on the basis of relevance, and Hurd ruled the testimony was irrelevant. So oh wow, that's crazy. Judge Hurd amended the grand jury indictment to state a public offense because the grand jury indictment did not state allegations that were even a crime. Therefore, Gene was indicted by Judge Hurd and not the grand jury. This is prohibited by South Dakota law, and it is common practice by South Dakota judges, but nothing is ever done about it by the South Dakota Supreme Court. Hurd refused to allow Gene to use the defense that the statute of limitations had expired on 2 of the items that Gene was charged with. Hurd ruled that possession of stolen property is a continuing offense, which it is not. Hurd's ruling on this issue conflicts with all previous cases in South Dakota. Yeah, so he's saying, like, if you steal something, it's a continuing offense. It's an offense 8 years later, it's still an offense. Let's see. Judge Hurd allowed the prosecutor to present fraudulent evidence that had never been reviewed by the court or defense counsel at an evidentiary hearing. The evidence the prosecutor presented to the jury was a written list of the stolen property involved, which the property told the jury was written by Jean. This note was not in Jean's handwriting, as later confirmed by several handwriting experts, and apparently had been fabricated by the detectives. Oh, man. Yeah. So Judge Hurd allowed perjured testimony from a previous case. So it was already deemed perjury in a previous case. He allowed that to be used as evidence against Jean in this case. That's crazy, right? Like, I think everybody just intuitively knows that that's shitty. Like another case, it was perjury and deemed untrue, yet you're allowing it in this case. Judge Hurd allowed perjured testimony from a previous case as evidence against Jean in this case. This evidence the prosecutor was allowed to bring up 85 times during Jean's trial on these charges. That's crazy. Judge Hurd did not allow Jean's attorney to submit evidence of Dean Johnson's theft of the property in question, the theft of a Corvette stored by Jean's business, and other thefts from the business while he was employed there. Jean Hurd ruled Dean Johnson was not on trial. Judge Hurd denied Jean the right to fire his incompetent and lazy attorney, which is common practice in South Dakota, so that defendants are stuck with incompetent, lazy attorneys who snuggle up to judges rather than to defend their clients' rights. Judge Hurd allowed the prosecutor to present the perjured testimony of Joan Bresson, and then bolstering her credibility to the jury by stating that she is not going to come in here and lie to you. Oh, jeez. So the judge said that. She's not going to come in here and lie to you, although her testimony was already previously deemed to be perjury, right? That's great. Allowed prosecutor to present the perjured testimony of Joan Bresson and then bolstering. So the judge said, she's not going to come in here and lie to you. When in fact she had lied and also had smuggled hacksaw blades into Minnehaha County jail to her husband and aided in an attempted escape as confirmed by affidavits of the witnesses. Judge Hurd allowed the prosecutor to have Jean incarcerated and left in prison without filing a judgment of conviction, which kept Jean illegally in prison and denied Jean the right to appeal his case. Jean Lodermeier spent 14 years of a 45-year sentence in a South Dakota prison for a crime he did not commit. Even if he would have been guilty, possession of stolen property usually carries a sentence of 3 years or less, not 45 years. See, I already thought that. Hey, thank you, Jessica Schubach. Thank you. We got over $50 tonight. I mean, just think about that when we donate $4,000 at the end of the month. Let's see. A little nausea. Yeah, how you doing, Gene? So you're a little, are you going to get back to normal at some point? I know. I probably should have just not come on live tonight and just sort of suffered through the Blazer loss and watched the post game and see what people thought and so forth. But I said I was coming on, so I came on. But I probably should have saved this for tomorrow. I think. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought that was sort of interesting because this is not by him. This was by the South Dakota Judicial Accountability Committee. Yeah, is it supposed to get better, Gene? Your balance? Yeah, and then there's these other articles that start coming later. 2016. There she is right there. There's a little, her bangs that they were talking about. Awesome. So there you go. You can. It's a little bit better picture of her. Belongings of Ellabeth Lordermeier, 25, of Sioux Falls, eventually turned up in Manitoba and along the Big Sioux River. Weird. Thank you, Karen Price. From the UK even. Thank you.
Chewbacca? I'll be
Chewbacca if you want me to be. Alright, here we go. 42 years ago on March 6th. So this is, now we're in the 2016 now. Alright. 42 years ago on March 6, 1972. Now we're back onto the actual case. But I thought we would go over the husband, right? Yeah, well, it's actually on video, Pink Lady Luck. So we actually have the video of that. We'll probably have to play it again one of these days. There's like a longer conversation that goes on, but that all happened in order. Sometimes Metal Madness, yeah. Like I always feel like if people are really interested, there's super chats and things are moving along, and you know, basically it's become a huge part of the channel now because we, you know, we're donating so much money. You know, it supports my channel too, obviously, but donating so much money to crime-related charities. For example, you know, like 22,000 last year, but we're already at 18. You know, my goal's 30, but I'm actually thinking 40. You know, like 40 seems like an actual possibility, perhaps. I think. Let's see. If it was 6, I don't know. I'm still thinking like 35, maybe. I think I'm going to move it up to 35 as the goal. But we're building up a DNA fund and everything, so I got to keep everything going. If I don't keep everything going, then we'll start slowing down, and then I might not be able to do as many shows because I spent a lot of hours getting it ready. So yes, Metal Madness, that is part of it. Because I remember during the trial, everybody seemed to be engaged and interested, and it was a lot more, you know, I was kind of surprised by that, but it's just the way it was, I guess. Maybe they were also 5-hour shows, so maybe that made a difference. But yeah, I would say if I did a full show that I thought was the most interesting show in the world, and there was $5 of super chat, I probably would never do a show similar to that again, even if I thought it was great. I think that's kind of just obvious, you know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like right now we have 145 people watching. That's because it's not the cool case. When we were talking about that very first case, there was 200 and something people, right? Now we're talking about this really old case, reading through newspaper articles, and You have anything else to say there, Metal Madness? Not even sure why you asked the question, but yeah. Yeah, the channel's getting bigger. I've got, we're heading, hopefully in the next few months we'll be at 60,000. Yeah, and I've been doing shows every single night for, I've taken, I would say 5 days off in a year and a half. I don't even know if it's that much, but even when I got surgery, the night before the surgery, I think I was in the hotel room, did a show, and then I think even, I don't know. Did I miss one during the surgery? Oh, maybe that's what it is, Metal Man. I forgot what time it is. It's 11 o'clock, so it's like 2 in the morning somewhere. Yeah, it was something about, I think the night of my surgery I missed a show. But then I drove all the way back and did one after the surgery. And, I think I've only missed 1 or 2 days since then. That's actually back in August, right? I'm sort of like Art Bell of crime, right? Every single night you have some place to tune into. Yeah, I spend literally 6 or 7 hours a day on the channel, if not more, because I'm reading things, get together the articles. I would say when I get to do call-in shows, it's not quite, obviously it's not as much because now people are calling in telling their stories. But I don't have call-in shows that often, really. 2 a.m. in Indiana. Yeah. So today was okay. We had the other show, so. Yeah, well, I guess I had the Blazer game to watch. Well, you're a trooper, Pink Lady Luck. I go over to her channel sometimes. She's just kind of chilling out. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Chasing Truth. They just, or more like Chasing Truth 4 months ago or something. Just kind of doing a show, chatting with people. I don't even know when you do your shows normally. I stumble upon them sometimes. I'm not even sure when, but anyways, I am going to get back to this. He's tiny, this person. Belongings of Ellabeth Lordermeier, 25, of Sioux Falls, eventually turned up in Manitoba and along Big Sioux River. Yeah, I don't really have a time schedule. I just do shows usually between, 5 and 7:30. I don't know where she is. 42 years ago, on March 6, 1972, Ellabeth May Lordermeier was last seen at her home at 305 North Indiana Avenue. And we're going to go right back to it. And there it is. That's the home she was in. After Lodermeier didn't show up to work the next day, her employees and estranged husband, Gene, who she was filing for divorce, was found on, let's see, oh, hold on a second. After Lodermeier didn't show up to work the next day, her employees and estranged husband, Gene, found her house locked and car in the driveway. A pizza with one slice missing was found on the kitchen floor. Weird. Along with spilled flour. Her purse and jacket were missing. Time is running out for Sioux Falls detective looking to solve the mystery of Lodermeier's disappearance. So isn't that kind of weird that, she was living there, but they were divorced, and then he's living there after she's missing. See, that's just, to me it's obvious. I don't care. I know it sounds like he got screwed in the courts on that one case, but we already know there were all these other cases out there, right? Well, although one of them sounds like it was bogus, but I don't know. Every time you have a case where there's somebody that's getting a divorce and they go missing right before a hearing, it's like 99.9% of the time associated with the spouse. So let's see. Time is running out for Sioux Falls detectives looking to solve the mystery of Lodermeier's disappearance. Now police are asking anyone who might have information about Lodermeier's disappearance to come forward. The main goal in this is to give the family closure, Detective Pat Meredith said. And then there's a second page to that one. That's her right there. Oh, they have Ellabeth with a space in there. I wonder if that would have shown up more. Let me check something. That's interesting. They have a space after Ella here. Come on, newspaper. God. Let's see. Ellabeth Lorder. Oh, well, that's this article. That's the only time it was spelled like that. That's funny. Okay, and so it continues. Meredith said Lodermeier's disappearance is considered suspicious. The only person of interest who arose from the investigation was her estranged husband, Gene. Meredith said Gene and Lodermeier were in the process of getting divorced and lived separately at the time of her suspected murder. He was the last person to see her alive. Gene, however, died in 2013, so Gene Lodermeier is not alive anymore. See, this just sucks. Gene has since passed away, so he is unfortunately is not around to answer questions we have. Over the years, Lodermeier's belongings turned up in Canada and Sioux Falls. In 1974, Lodermeier's credit cards were found in the woman's bathroom at the Canadian National Railway. Let's see where we can find it. Canadian National Railway, Dauphin, Manitoba, Canada. Canadian National. So it's probably this one right here. Credit cards. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild here. Alright, so over the years, Lodermeier's belongings turned up in Canada in Sioux Falls. 1974, Lodermeier's credit cards were found in the women's bathroom at the Canadian National Railway. So it's interesting that they were in the women's bathroom. But still, I think that he put them in there to make it seem like she was traveling somewhere and left them in the women's bathroom. Right? Like if they were in the men's bathroom, you go, well, why were they in there? So he probably went late at night, was at this train station. There's nobody in there. Nobody's going to the bathroom. Took her credit cards and placed them in the women's bathroom to make it look like she's on the run somewhere. Right? And no, it's not on camera or anything. 1974. Almost 2 decades later, a farmer found Lodermeier's wallet. Oh, wow. So 94. Containing her checkbook and credit cards along the riverbanks of the Big Sioux River near Highway 42. All right, let's try that. All right. Wow, this is wild. This is a straight shot, too. Just boom, north. Boom, you're right there. So they're saying Big Sioux River and South Riverview Avenue. Okay. Let's just go there. Okay, there's South Riverview Avenue. Okay, is that what this one is? Along the riverbanks of the Big Sioux River near Highway 42. Okay, where's Highway 42? Oh, okay, there you go. Boom, right here. That's where this was found. And there's a checkbook and credit cards. So she was probably thrown in that river. Wait, checkbook and what? So more credit cards. So credit cards were found in the woman's bathroom in Canada, but then also her wallet and credit cards were found right there too. So that's sort of interesting, going this way. And I think she was dumped in the water there. Probably, what time of year was this again? So it was in March. Yeah, so you're going to get a lot of rain. River's high. She probably got moved way downstream. And then he then at that point drove all the way up into Canada and put some credit cards up there to make it look like she ran away. That makes sense to me. Police desperately searched the area for more clues that could help them solve the case, but found nothing. All right. And 2018. This is like a 3-parter. This is a big one here. This is one that you could just have started with, but I think it's always better to go back in time. Then we got the stuff on Gene Lodermeier as well. All right, let's see. In March, this is 2018, December 16th, this one. On March 6, 1974, Sioux Falls police arrived at 305 North Indiana Avenue to find a puzzling scene. On the kitchen floor lay pizza, puzzling pizza, with one slice missing, along with spattering of spilled flour. A loaf of bread sat rising on a counter. So sounds like she was making bread and having a piece of pizza. The house was locked. But who else might have that key but the ex-husband? And a car sat in the driveway. The woman who lived there was Ellabeth Lordermeier, a 25-year-old Aberdeen native and Augustana College graduate who had recently ended a relationship that friends and family described as abusive. So Jean Lodermeier is the one that they're referring to. She did not show up to work that day or any day after. A co-worker offered a $1,200 reward for information about her whereabouts, but no one stepped forward. 7 months later, a possible breakthrough emerged when 3 Lodermeier credit cards, so this is 7 months later, were found at a railway station in Manitoba, Canada. That lead soon stalled out. 18 years after that, in 1992, a farmer found her purse and pocketbook along the Big Sioux River east of Sioux Falls, but no arrests were made and no body discovered. Right, because now it's 20 years later. It's disappointing, said Ellabeth's niece, Elizabeth Crow, who lives in Sioux Falls. Somebody has to know something, I feel, but it's just getting them to come forward and say something. Can you go to the next one? Thanks, Amber Maiden. Wait, is that the second page? Hold on. Yeah, something. Yeah, it's right over here. Let's do the timeline over here, though. In 1974, a 25-year-old Augustana graduate vanished from her home in central Sioux Falls with the car still in the driveway. So how did she get to Canada? Friends and family never saw her again. The following is a timeline of Elizabeth Lordermeier's life, disappearance, and the search for justice. Elizabeth is born in Billings, Montana on November 26, 1948. Her family would later move to Aberdeen, South Dakota. January 17, 1970, Ellabeth marries Jean Lodermeier at Faith United Methodist Church in Aberdeen, where he attended Northern State University. The couple settled in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. 1972, Ellabeth graduates from Augustana College with a degree in social work. She was employed as a social worker at the community service office in Sioux Falls when she disappeared. 1973, Ellabeth files for divorce from Jean, saying he abused her. The same day, she meets Jerry Thomas while out with a friend at the Pomp Room in Sioux Falls. Oh wow, so she's already met a guy? Like, I don't know what that means, like why they mentioned that yet, so let's see. The same day she meets Jerry Thomas while out with a friend at the Pomp Room. And then March 6th, Ellabeth is reported missing after she does not show up for work at the community service office in Sioux Falls. Police find spilled flour and a partially eaten pizza on the floor of her home. Clues that she did not disappear of her own volition. Ellabeth's credit cards, this is October 1974, are found in a railway station in Dauphin, Manitoba, Canada. The discovery is one of the first tangible clues in the case, although police believe it was a red herring, and she likely never, there's no chance in hell she ever went there. Somebody put them in the woman's bathroom to make it look like she was doing it. 6 Sioux Falls police officers are acquitted in 1980 of charges of harassing Gene Lodermeier about his wife's disappearance. Gene claims police openly and implicitly accused him of killing Ellabeth, although he was never charged with any crime related to her disappearance. The accused officers state that they were simply doing their jobs. January 1989, Gene Lodermeier is sentenced to 45 years in prison for grand theft after being convicted of stealing skid loaders and other equipment. 1992, a farmer finds Ellabeth's purse and pocketbook east of Sioux Falls. The clue is the biggest break in the case in decades, but ultimately leads nowhere. July 2002, Gene is paroled from prison after his first 2 attempts were denied. In his parole application, Gene said he was suffering from health issues, including an aneurysm and back problems. April 18, 2013, Gene dies of an aortic aneurysm at his home in Sioux Falls at the age of 66. March 2016, Detective Pat Murtis issues a plea for information leading to Ellabeth's remains. 17 new tips come in, but they don't bring any results. November 2018, a $20,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Ellabeth's remains is offered. If she was alive, Ellabeth would have turned 70 years old. That's so weird, you know. It's always weird when you look at somebody and, oh, look at that. That's the house. That's what we were just looking at on Google Earth. Let's see. The mystery is equally unsettling to Jerry Thomas, who met Ellabeth the night she filed for divorce and grew close enough that they planned a future together. Wow, one night? Yeah. That's a little weird. Oh, wait. So they probably had seen each other off, you know, throughout the months until she went missing. You know, July and until March. It has been nearly 45 years since her disappearance, with many twists and turns in the investigations. But until more answers come forth or her body is found, those who knew her will be haunted by the most maddening question of all. Where is Ellabeth Lordermeier? To those who knew Ellabeth May Keller in Aberdeen, where she grew up, it was not surprising that she ended up helping others for a living. The youngest of 4 children born to Leslie and Mildred Keller. Now this is an article in the Argus Leader. Let's see. I knew Ellie, as always, just caring for other people, and she helped Mom out with us kids, said Chris Jacobson. After graduating from high school, Ellabeth first attended Northern State University in her hometown before transferring to Augustana, where she graduated in 1972. At the time of her disappearance, she worked at the Community Services Office in Sioux Falls as a social worker, a job that Jerry Thomas says fits her well. She had a personality like you can't believe, said Thomas, 71, a retired businessman who lives in Bismarck, North Dakota. And she was easy to talk to. I can see where she would have been great at her job. It was in Aberdeen that Ellabeth met her future husband, Gene Lodermeier, a Washington high school grad who was attending Northern State at the time. Their relationship evolved quickly and led to wedding ceremony in January of 1970. A newspaper wedding announcement portrayed a smiling Ellabeth wearing a pearl-trimmed crown and veil, her signature dark bangs visible beneath. She carried 2 long-stemmed red roses and 1 white rose on a Bible symbols of a future that seemed destined to be bright. I'm not sure if this continues like how this works. Did it come up here, then back there? But the happy scene depicted in the newspaper did not tell the whole story. Ellabeth's family did not approve of Gene, despite his involvement in church and Boy Scouts. Ellabeth, described by relatives as fun, caring person, was not as relaxed when Gene was around. And this is Elizabeth Crow, Ellabeth Lordermeier's niece, talked about her brief memories of her aunt at her home in Sioux Falls. That's funny, because that lady's probably close to what maybe she would have looked like, you know. She seemed not herself, said Jacobson. It was in the 7th grade when her aunt disappeared. When she was there, she was just a different person. Jacobson recalled going to the beach and the movies with Gene and Ellabeth, including one outing when Gene's anger flashed on the way home. He was very upset about a particular person, Jacobson said. He was screaming and hollering and banging on the steering wheel. Well, man, that kind of stuff doesn't mean much to me. But by 1973, Ellabeth had enough. She filed for divorce. According to a deposition she gave in connection with the divorce proceedings, she said under oath that Gene abused her, a charge he denied in court years later. To this day, though, Jacobson said the signs were there. She remembers her mother, Ellabeth's sister, Sandra Herman, telling her that Gene would sometimes disable Ellabeth's car to prevent her from going to school. So, a controlling, abusive person. He's right there. He's the Cobra type. The one that plots and plans, waiting to strike and take you out. That's exactly what he did. He was a master manipulator, Jacobson said. It was unfortunate that Ellie, being a kind soul, got sucked into that. She always thought maybe she could change him. 3 weeks before the divorce was set to go to trial, Ellabeth vanished. Jerry Thomas met Ellabeth Lordermeier the day she filed for divorce, while both were meeting friends at the Pomp Room, an iconic downtown Sioux Falls bar. Thomas found Ellabeth easy to talk to, as well as kind and beautiful. They agreed to meet up again a few days later. We hit it off. We just flat hit it off, Thomas said. We liked each other immediately. Originally from Redfield, Thomas was working in Sioux Falls when he met Ellabeth. Over the next year, as the two became more serious, he moved to Sioux Falls full time. We had planned a future together, Thomas said. The night Ellabeth vanished, he had agreed to call her at home between 9 and 9:30 p.m. All right, let's see. The night Ellabeth vanished, he had planned to call her at home between 9 and 9:30 p.m., as she had gone back up to Redfield to do some work. He called the house 3 times, and each time the upstairs tenant answered. The next morning, one of Ellabeth's friends called Thomas to let him know she was missing. His first reaction was fear. I got in the car and headed straight for Sioux Falls, he said. To me, it was obvious that she did not leave. There's no way it wouldn't happen. I'm not sure what that means. No, there's no way it wouldn't happen. Mystery takes hold. When Jerry arrived in Sioux Falls, he headed to the police department. where he was given a polygraph and cleared almost immediately. When I walked out of the polygraph test, the guy that administered it said, "This guy didn't have a damn thing to do with it," Jerry said. From the beginning, the case seemed suspicious. 8 days after Ellabeth's disappearance, the Argus Leader ran a story in which police asked citizens to check abandoned farm buildings and other areas that might conceal a body. Henry Lepke was one of the police officers assigned to investigate. He had moved to the Detective Bureau from the Patrol Division in 1969, about 5 years before Ellabeth went missing. It appeared that she didn't disappear on her own volition, said Lepke, who is now retired and lives near Canton. He interviewed family, friends, and co-workers and ex-boyfriends, but nothing came of it. Search warrants were issued for areas in Sioux Falls and other parts of South Dakota, but Ellabeth was not found. It was a big blank, Lepke said. No useful information came up. The trend appeared, ready to change when 3 of Ellabeth's credit cards were found at a railway station in Dauphin, Manitoba. But Detective Pat Murtis, who is current investigator assigned to Elizabeth's case, said it is unlikely she ever traveled there. It appears it was probably a red herring to throw investigators off. The last notable break in the case was 1992, 18 years after the initial disappearance. A farmer found a woman's purse and pocketbook along the Big Sioux River east of Sioux Falls. They were determined to be Ellabeth's. Despite the lack of evidence suggesting Ellabeth was dead, her family was certain something terrible had happened. I think everybody... Oh, there was more? Shit. Hold on. I think everybody from the beginning assumed Jean did something to her, Jacobson said. I don't recall anybody thinking she just picked up and left her on her own. Meredith confirms that Jean was a person of interest in the case, adding that his death in 2013 prevented any further inquiry into his involvement. Now, thankfully, this is a link. Wow, look at that. That's so much. He was never able to be 100% cleared, Meredith said, adding that other people were investigated but quickly eliminated as suspects. Are you guys still paying attention? Seems like you're talking about nursing and all kinds of stuff unrelated. In February 1978, Jean... I mean, if I'm going to go through this with this low, crazy night here... okay, great. In February 1978, Jean filed a lawsuit against the city of Sioux Falls saying he had been harassed and followed by police officers during their investigation of Ellabeth's disappearance. In his complaint, he said they falsely and maliciously stated directly and by innuendo that Lodermeier killed his wife, although he was never charged with any crime. Lodermeier said that in March 1974 he was questioned by police for 21 hours without being allowed to eat, sleep, or use a phone. Wow! That's a long time, man. He said he was then held in the Minnehaha County Jail for 9 days. More than 2 years later, 6 Sioux Falls police officers, including Lepke, testified that they had only been doing their job while investigating the case. Let's see. Yeah, they go through that same pipe bombing stuff and everything. It has been nearly 45 years since Ellabeth Lordermeier was last seen, and authorities are no closer to discovering what happened to her. In 2016, Detective Meredith inherited the case. A press conference he gave to reignite interest in the unsolved mystery generated 17 new tips, but none of them gave police any new leads or anything. Let's see. Let's see. At this point, Ellabeth's loved ones are not looking for a conviction. They say that Hope died with Jean Lodermeier 5 years ago. But they are hopeful that they will one day find Ellabeth. Ellabeth's sister, Sandra, died in 2016. Gone too are her parents. Most of the original detectives who worked the case with Lepke have passed on as well. But the next generation has taken up the cause, if only to find closure for those who died before justice could be done. Why we push is still, it is still because of Mom. Elizabeth Crowe said of Sandra, who worked hard to find information in the case. She was the one who held on to all of this. I know it has been a very long time, but it would be nice to just have closure. While he eventually went on to marry after Elizabeth disappeared, Jerry Thompson has never gotten over the woman he had first met in Sioux Falls bar nearly a half century ago. Her disappearance is something that I never forget, he said. I think about it constantly. Jerry is hopeful that Ellabeth can still come home. A $20,000 reward is being offered to anyone who can provide verifiable proof of Ellabeth's remains. There's no place for Ellabeth. It's like she didn't exist, Jerry said. But she did exist, and she was a beautiful person. If he is unable to find... It sounds like that was like this Jerry, the person who met her in a bar. It was one of those chance encounters, but it was like true love that they had. And like, even though he got married and everything, he still remembers her and that sort of proves that that's the case. You know, if it was just some random, she was okay, you wouldn't still be thinking about it years later. He probably never met anybody quite like her his entire life. She looks kind of like mischievous, right? Like, well, this is the last article, 2019 November, so not even 2 years ago. Search on for women missing since 1974. Sioux Falls police are conducting a search in hopes of finding the remains of a woman who has been missing for nearly half a century. Ellabeth Lordermeier, then 25, disappeared from Sioux Falls' home in March 6, 1974. On Tuesday, Sioux Falls Police Department spokesman Sam Clemens confirmed that at least one dog is being brought in on Wednesday to search an area near the Mary Jo Wegner Arboretum along the Sioux Falls River. The search will begin at 10 a.m. and will take place in the area where Lodermeier's purse, that's what I was thinking, and pocketbook were found in 1992, nearly 2 decades after she went missing. Lodermeier's niece, Elizabeth Crowe, is hopeful that the search could bring resolution to a mystery that has haunted her family for decades. I hope that something comes of it, Crowe said. I really hope we can have some kind of closure. Family and at least some members of law enforcement believe that Lodermeier's estranged husband, Jean Lodermeier, was responsible for her disappearance. But Jean died in 2013 of an aortic aneurysm without ever being charged. Ellabeth Lordermeier was reported missing after she did not show up for work at the community service office in Sioux Falls. 7 months later, 3 of her credit cards were found at a railway station in Manitoba, Canada. but police have said they believe this led to be a red herring. I totally think that. The discovery of Lodermeier's purse and pocketbook near the Big Sioux River renewed hope in finding out what happened to her, but in the 27 years since then, nothing has come of it. Months after the Argus leader ran an investigation into Lodermeier's disappearance in 2018, that's what we just read, police announced that 5 new leads had come in, including 3 with brand new information. While the reasons for Lodermeier's disappearance remain unsolved, the goal of her family and the police is to find her remains. You know what? I think this is one of those ones where police should open it up to podcasts, like a huge social media deal where people can come forward. Because I've never heard of this, and I guarantee it, none of you have heard of this. A study conducted by the University of Alabama showed some cadaver dogs could locate human remains that were well over 25 years old. The Independent reported, the study used a human vertebrae that was buried 2 feet below the ground. How long the scent of a decaying body remains for dogs to detect depends on a variety of factors. Including temperature, humidity, the softness and hardness of the ground, and the amount of degrading matter. So, there you go, everybody. That was it. Nothing ever was solved. She's still missing. I think it's like 99% Gene. You know, even if he did get screwed and that. I think it's because... Here's the thing, everybody. Gene got screwed in court because they all knew that he's the killer and did all these other things. So they invented this shit, which is totally bogus, but at the same time, they know that he was responsible. So that's the reality of it. Gene is responsible for the death of Ellabeth Lordermeier. Let me just say, allegedly. I am convinced 100% that he had something to do with her disappearance. I have no doubt, as a matter of fact. And so they thought the same thing, so they might have done all they could to put him behind bars forever. Because they thought, we're never going to solve this, but we know he did it. So, I think that's what happened. All right. Well, there you go. I am going to end the show now. Probably one of our worst super chat nights we've ever had on a 3-hour, how long has this been? 2 hours and 29-minute show. But we did have an earlier show, but that means 5 hours of show. 5 hours of show today. Good stuff. But, some nights are like that, I guess. We plug along, we get through the year one day at a time. See what happens tomorrow. But we'll be back on tomorrow, and thank you guys for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. Sucks that the Blazers lost. Maybe it was just double punishment. Blazers lost at double overtime, worst super chat night in history, and it was all just meant to bust me into oblivion. We devastated. Yeah, I don't know. I think he was in jail because he was just... Oh, well, thank you, Romeo Hart from, what is that, Sweden? Or I don't know where that's from. Sweden? But didn't you guys think that was an interesting case? I mean, it went through the whole thing. We got when you're all done, you had a good feel for who Gene is, right? Probably even more for him than her, right? Then Ellabeth Lordermeier. Yeah, sometimes there's just bad nights. That's true. Inga from Sweden. Remember that? On Trading Places. That was so stupid. Remember that? When they're on the train and she goes, "Yeah, I'm Inga from Sweden." It was just so stupid. It was like, yeah, are you just trying to tell them immediately that you're not really? Yeah, he was always trying to sue people and everything. He was trying to... Look at, I guarantee you this is what it came down to. He was making $7,000 a month in rent from his rentals. And now, this wife is going to, he's going to get a divorce. He probably found out about that guy, too. There's no way a guy like... He seems like he was a very cunning, intelligent person. And he used that to get away with stuff. So, I guaranteed he found out that she was seeing somebody else. And that's when he hatched his plan. There's no way in hell he's going to allow her to have $3,500 of his $7,000 to spend on that other guy, right? Yeah, $7,000 a month in 1970 is like $25,000. It's a huge number. So there's no way in hell he was going to let her do that. Yeah, he had a lot of money. Gene's a stalker freak boy. Yeah, no, he's... God, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Cases like that. Especially then he died, That's why I'm glad that Alan Phillips lived to face justice at some point. Yeah. Well, now we'll just chill out. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna have this drink right here. The last little bit of whatever that is. There we go. There we go. Oh, yeah. You're just swallowing your own spit? That's weird, Jenny Penny. That's really weird. But you're a little bit weird. Aren't we all weird, though? That's why we're called the freaks. We're called the freaks. Hey, Lee D, what is that little... what is that figure doing in that image right there? Is that like a dancing ghost? Well, I'd give you a drink, Jenny Penny, but you're like 1,000 miles away. It's hard to... Good night, Pink Lady Luck. I don't remember that one. Postmates? Okay. I'm deeming you a drink, Jenny Penny. I'm deeming you a drink. That is dabbing. Oh, is that... Okay, so it's like dancing? Listen, I appreciate you guys staying up. I mean, what time is it where you got... Type in what time it is where you live. Round it up and out to the nearest hour. Because it's midnight where I am, so I know a lot of you guys are like 1, 2, 3, maybe 8 in the morning somewhere else. Well, I know what time it is where you live, Jenny. You're on the West Coast. Wow. Well, I feel bad that you guys had to stay up till... Don't worry, tomorrow will be a normal time, okay? We'll start at maybe 6. I'm trying to get a... Remember those letters I had you guys decipher? Or we were all deciphering them? How was it? Varga. Hold on. Yeah, Brian Vargo. Not Varga. Yeah, Brian Vargo. His niece. It's always kind of weird when you think about it like that. But like he would be, gosh, shit, I mean, 65 or something. He'd be old at this point. 70, well, not to say, hey, look, 65 is the new 40, right? I'm just saying. But when we're talking about him, he's 20, right? But this is like 1976 or something. So it's a long time ago. But I now have all of the... So I'm going to have her come on and we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to... and then we're going to decipher, go through all the letters one after another on a few shows over and over again. Alright? Then we'll really know it. And you guys can come up with ideas. We're going to try to figure out... He's a missing person that went missing in... I think it was 1976. But he wasn't reported missing until, well, a couple, like 6 months ago. Awesome. Well, I'm 55, and I feel, I don't know, I feel like I always felt, but not really. I don't know how to explain it. Alright, everybody. Let's see. I had it. Thank you to... Let me get this set up.
Thank you to Lee D. Alley Cake. Pink Lady Luck. Super Soda 90. Jen H. Lee D. Kit Kat. Carolina Girl. Zozo. Lee D. Jessica Schubach, Karen Price, Amber Maiden, and Romeo's Heart.
Yeah, that was great stuff. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out today, everything. My dog growls every time you do the voice at the end. Oh, they are. Yeah, when I read the people's names out. Crazy. All right, well, we'll see you guys later. Make sure, if you haven't got your vaccinations, to keep wearing your mask, maintaining your social distancing, and washing your hands. And if you don't want to get the vaccine, that's cool and everything. Just don't try to convince one person not to get it. Okay, because if they ever die from it, you might want to look in the mirror and say you're responsible for it, okay? Don't try to convince one soul not to get the vaccine because it works. If you don't want to believe it works, that's your own right. It just does, okay? So, all right, everybody. Thank you very much. And as we always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a...
What's going on, Gray? What's going on? What's going on?
I'm a certified human lie detector.
Gonna get ya. Oh, wait, what?
If you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector
Is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a foe protector. Fool deflector, interceptor. When I mean a little spectre with a vector.
on his pector, with all respect, y'all. Just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Hey,
Yeah,
man,
so I'll just
thank
get right back to
you.
work. Alright, everybody? Talk to you.
When I'm in the mood, I sprinkle troll on my food, but I don't eat it. I chew it up and spit it out and repeat it. It's not a treat. The troll is beat. Just one of the ways that I defeat it. Staying in my groove when there's a troll on the move. Just takes a second to remove, 'cause every time I conclude, the troll is gonna loot. Nice try, lizard eye, I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you're so fly? It's such a tiny lie. Battle me, you're gonna fry. Gonna send you out to mummify. Nice try, lizard eye, I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you so fly? Such a whiny cry, cry. Battle me, you're gonna fry. Gonna send you out to mummify. Time to say goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Nice try, lizard eye, I see you creeping on the sly. Why you think you so fly? What the heck happened there? M-A-S-T-E-R-G with the double E. Said I go by the unforgivable name of the man they call the Master G. Well, my name is known all over the world by all the foxy ladies, pretty girls, going down in history as the baddest brother there ever could be. Now feel the highs and feel the lows. Beat starts getting into your toes. You start popping your fingers and stamping your feet and moving your body while you're sitting in the center. Said, damn, stop doing all as the rest of the gang. Rap to the beat just the same. Little face and a pair of brown eyes. All credit to the ladies is hypnotized, singing on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. I said it on and on and on and on. Beat don't never the break of dawn. I said it on and on and on like a hot. Poppy poppy pop, diddly poppy pop poppy. Don't stop a come alive, yo. I give you what you got, 'cause I'm guaranteed to make you rock. Said 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me Wonder Mark, what are you waiting for? Guess by now you can take a hunch and guess that I am the baby of the bunch, but that's okay. I'm still keeping try, cause I'm here to do it. Don't really be high, singing. And on, the beat don't come without the break of dawn. I said on and on. Off in an ocean liner, no one can rock the microphone finer. East Coast, South Carolina, over civilian and Mount Diner. Off to China, cause I got a show there. I need my passport, cause I gotta go there. Everybody, have yourselves a great evening. I'm gonna get out here a little early tonight.
You know, it's weird because she keeps saying, I'm going to get out of here a little early tonight, like it's her show. You guys notice that? Mary Lou?
Well, I'm sorry, Greg. I got a little carried away. I was just running the end of the show.
I know, but you said, made it seem like it was your show, Mary Lou.
Well, it's kind of my show at the end, right?
Well, a little bit, but, I'll be the one that says goodnight, all right?
Gee, Gray, you're so mean.
Hey, that was pretty good.
Hey, thanks, Gray.
Wow. Total bogus. Anyways, thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, be safe out there.